Hey guys, I know it's kind of been a while since I've kind of done one of these sort of style videos where I just use my laptop webcam and I just record myself just talking to the camera. But just kind of want to give my thoughts on Nintendo's E3 announcement, or their presentation rather, and their the big hop up over the two new Metroid games. Now this will be largely it's all going to be unscripted, so I'm sorry if I mess up a lot. I'm not really that good on talking right now, because I'm just so overly hyped. I know I'm way late to the party, but trust me, I was actually watching the Nintendo E3 presentation, and when the blue mist came up, and then it formed the screw attack symbol. I just started like my eyes started widening. I was like, "Oh my god, are you serious? Is this what it is?" And then the four, popped from behind the frame and then went into frame, and I was just like, "There's no way," like it's been 10 years, and like I was just in such shock and disbelief. Like, there's no way they're making a Metroid Prime 4, and then the 4 just swung to the side, and then the Metroid Prime logo just kind of, or just the Metroid Prime sign just kind of faded in, and then I just pretty much dropped everything. Half of me wanted to jump around and scream and be like, "Yeah!" and then the other half of me was just frozen. And that's the one that came out. Like, I was sitting here, just staring at the screen. I'm like, I was just frozen in disbelief that it's been so long since the last Metroid game. Let's see, I think it was 7 years ago when Metroid Other M came out. Lots of diehard Metroid fans don't really like that game, me included. Would kind of say I'm kind of a diehard Metroid fan. Not a lot of people know this about me, but I really love Metroid. That was the first one that that was the first Nintendo game that I was ever exposed to. Now I know, it could have been something better, like Mario or Zelda or Pokemon. Of course, I love all three of those. And also Kirby. The new Kirby game looks really nice. So there's a lot of good Nintendo games out there. A lot of good Nintendo game series. For lack of a better term. But Metroid was the one that I was exposed to first. I got the game, back when I was around almost 5 years old, back on the old, GameCube, back in, when was Metroid Prime released? Like, November of 02 or something like that? So I was almost 5. Almost 5 years old. So I was really small. Really young. And, man, I was always into just sci-fi and space and stuff like that, so that game was really cool to me. And then from there I kind of started just discovering all these different Metroid games. Super Metroid on the SNES, that's it's, lots of fans will agree that is probably the best Metroid game. And definitely the Metroid Prime trilogy would be a close second. But a lot of people would say Super Metroid is definitely the best. Now, I would love to say that, but it's just, I grew up with Metroid Prime and I played that for so long, and it's been almost 15 years since since I first laid my hands on Metroid Prime. And so that's the game that I am most familiar with, and that's the game that I got. I was grown accustomed to, so I sort of developed a natural love for the first Metroid Prime. And yeah, but Super Metroid is definitely a very good game. If I didn't grow up with Metroid Prime, definitely Super Metroid would be my top pick as the best Metroid game. Now, from Super Metroid, I went on to things like the original Metroid. I played Zero Mission first, and then when you beat the game, you get the option to play the original Metroid, and that's how I discovered the original one. So yeah, I actually got really good at Zero Mission. I was really good at speedrunning the game. I think at my best, I collected at around an hour and a half, somewhere around there. Current record holders are around like 45, 50 minutes, somewhere around there. So, definitely for that time, it was really good. Um, but anyways, I start digressing. But yeah, like, this was just, it was just a big shock. Like, I'm still shocked right now. Even just making this video, I can't even talk straight. So Metroid Prime 4 will definitely be a game that I will, really look forward to, to getting when it comes out. Now, it is only in development, so who knows how long it'll take. Who knows? It could probably take 5 years before it finally gets done. But it shouldn't take that long though. At the most, probably like 3 years or so. Probably could be around 1.5 to 2 years. Well, 1.5 seems a little bit just stretching it. But honestly, if it's a game like Metroid Prime 4, I would love for them to take their time with it. I don't like, there's been so much hype around this. There's been so much talk about it. Ever since, since we haven't had a Metroid game in 7 years. There's been so much just, can we get like another, another Metroid Prime game? And now that 10 years later, we finally get another Metroid Prime game. Now, do I think that they're gonna call it Metroid Prime 4 when it releases? Probably not, because well, spoiler alert. So for those of you that haven't played through the Metroid Prime trilogy, or haven't even beaten the Metroid Prime 3, the Metroid Prime 3, wow. But for those of you that haven't beat Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, you might want to mute the video for right now, or just click forward in the video or something like that. But the reason why I don't think they're going to call it Metroid Prime 4 is because Metroid Prime 3, they already, it was the death of Aurora Unit 113, or 131, whatever they was called, 113, 131, something like that. So it was the death of that that boss, and then that subsequently means the death of Dark Samus. And so Dark Samus is, the titular Metroid Prime. After Prime 1, when you think you have overloaded Metroid Prime with Phazon, and the impact crater explodes, you see that hand, of like the Phazon suit, and it looks like Samus's hand, and that's how Metroid Prime sort of transformed into Dark Samus. But Dark Samus inside is still the titular character Metroid Prime, and that got killed off at the end of Prime 3. So we're kind of done with the whole, with the whole Phazon Metroid Prime sort of storyline. So I'm quite certain that Metroid Prime 4 will just be sort of a stand-in name for now. I don't know where else they can go with the story, to be honest, with the Prime series, because it seemed like it was capped very well at at the end of Prime 3. It's the Metroid Prime trilogy. They even like made it as its own game with all 3 of the games bundled into one disc. So do I think do I think they're going to continue with the Prime storyline? Yeah. Well, I mean, considering that it's called Metroid Prime 4, I think they will continue it. It's going to need some creative storyline concept to be able to continue on, because like I said, they capped it off very well at the end of Prime 3, with the death of the Aurora unit and the death of Dark Samus, which basically killed the poison, which was the Phazon. So I don't know where else they can go with it. Some clever storyline concept should maybe be able to revive the storyline, but who knows. But yeah, that's just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. It's perfectly fine. But that's just what I think. I don't think they'll call it Metroid Prime 4. But yeah, so and I've gotten a few friends that are like telling me like, oh no, Shadow of the Colossus is totally gonna be, it's totally the one that I'm hyped for, and blah blah blah. No, this one is better. They just don't understand. Like, since I am a diehard Metroid fan, this is So it's Metroid Prime 3, or no, Metroid Prime 4 is basically the Half-Life 3 of Metroid fans and in the Metroid universe. So this is definitely a big deal, you know, like if Half-Life 3 was announced, you know, just, you know, randomly after you think that, oh, Half-Life is dead or whatever, well, it kind of is, to be honest. A lot of, you know, that is just, you know, I mean, Team Fortress 2, kind of, I guess you can make an argument about that. I don't really know for sure. Left 4 Dead, eh. But, you know, like, what if, like, just out of nowhere, Valve just announced, okay, we're, you know, Half-Life 3 is now in development. You know, you're going to be reacting the same way. You're going to be jumping up out of your seat. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, you know, just bouncing off the walls. That was, you know, that was my Half-Life 3. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not saying that because, you know, oh, whatever, you know, Half-Life 3. I am actually wanting a Half-Life 3 still, you know? Like, but I'm a bigger Metroid fan. So this is definitely just something, it's almost just like something that I've dreamed about for years finally coming true. You know, I've always wondered this, like, are they ever going to make a Prime 4, or are they going to make a, you know, something, you know, similar to that? You know, and then I saw, you know, Metroid Other M. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool, I guess. They're doing voice acting. But then I started playing the game, and my gosh, it was just, bad. Just bad. I mean, adding voice acting to Metroid was honestly just a very, very terrible idea. You know, because in all the past Metroid games, you didn't need, there wasn't any need for voice acting to tell a good story. I don't think there wasn't even any dialogue until Metroid Fusion came along. Metroid Fusion and Metroid Prime. You know, dialogue in Metroid Prime, it was kind of told through like the scan visor. You scan things, and you know, you scan the pirate data, and that kind of tells the story. And the Chozo lore, you scan that with the scan visor, that kind of tells the story. So kind of like half dialogue, you know, for lack of a better term. But yeah, you know, until Metroid Fusion and Metroid Prime came along, there's really no need for any dialogue, and you know, definitely there's no voice acting, of course, back then. But yeah, they didn't need any voice acting to, you know, to tell a good story. And then all of a sudden, you know, Metroid Other M comes along and does voice acting, which I thought was cool at the, you know, at first, because, you know, having Samus have a voice is pretty cool. But then when I played the game, she was just all like whining about Adam and the baby and Adam this and Adam that and then the baby this and the. Number one, shut up. Number two, it's the infant Metroid, not the baby. Get it right. Oh, and like the voice acting itself was kind of terrible, to be honest. Like just the monotone, you know, voice that the voice, I forgot what her name was, but the voice actress that did Samus's voice just always talked in that monotone, just like robotic voice. And it really just lulled me to sleep. It really did. You know, I really didn't like it. So yeah, like, and you know, going back to the voice acting part, well, not really going back, I'm still talking about it, but like, you know, going back to what I said before, how you didn't need, you know, voice acting to create a good story. Samus was always just this, you know, independent, sorry, I'm still coughing just a little bit. I know it's been over a month since I last been sick, but I still have an itchy throat, and coughing, you know, kind of helps that. But anyways, you know, with the other games, I'm getting a Skype call. But with the other games, you know, it's really just, Samus was always just this independent, badass character, and then all of a sudden, it's just like, she's like just a big whiner, and like she can't, you know, do something without authorization from Adam. You don't need authorization. You're Samus. Like, walking into that superheated room without, without the Varia suit, and you can't activate it without having authorization from Adam to activate it. Yeah, I'm just gonna sit here in the superheated room and just fry to death without, and I have something that could prevent that. but I don't have authorization to use it, so I'll just die. And what the fuck? So yeah, that was really not a good direction for that game. It was really bad. That's pretty much why I hated it. Not just from that, just everything mixed into one. It's just it's horrible. But anyways, I'm just digressing at this point. And also, that's not the only Metroid announcement that Nintendo made. After that, well, not directly after it, but like a little bit later on in the presentation, Metroid: Samus Returns was announced, and I started freaking out. Like at first I just dropped silent and just was like, so stunned. Now I'm bouncing off the walls. This is the time that I'm bouncing off the walls because we get 2 games, in one presentation, in one E3 presentation, and I'm sitting here like, we haven't had a game in almost a decade, and here comes Nintendo giving us 2 games. One is a 2D game, and the other is a 3D game. Like, this is just like, Metroid fans are just freaking, like, they're just stunned. I'm stunned, and of course, last year, Zelda and Metroid were celebrating their 30th anniversaries, respective 30th year anniversaries, and Zelda gets this big tribute thing and all that stuff. Like, I'm not hating on Zelda. I'm glad that you guys had your big 30th anniversary, but Metroid, we didn't get anything. But instead, we went the opposite direction. They gave us Metroid Prime Federation Force, which looks super BS. Like, it looked like something that was made in like 15 minutes. Okay, maybe not that short, but it really did not look like it had a lot of work, under it. And it really just looked like an N64 game, like a thrown away N64 game that they just decided to, that they just kind of dug up from the scraps and were like, hey, we still have this thing. Let's just, fix it up a little bit and just, feed it to the Metroid fans, And, well, everyone was disappointed. I mean, you saw for those of you that saw the like to dislike ratio on that video, oh my gosh, it was horrible. So yeah, Nintendo really didn't treat Metroid fans that well for 2016 and the 30th anniversary. And I think this is kind of like their apology, Either that, or they're just like, after years of Metroid fans just berating Nintendo for a new Metroid game, I bet you they just sat down and they were just like, okay, guys, here's 2 games for you. Now please shut up. that's kind of like that. Those are the 2 ways that I can interpret this as, But like, I'm just really glad that Nintendo are finally actually putting work back into Metroid, into the Metroid series, and actually making not just 1 but 2 new Metroid games. So, and now that they announced Metroid: Samus Returns, which is a remake of Metroid 2, now I can understand why they went after AM2R. Now, once again, regarding the Metroid 30th anniversary, a lot of people were really, really disappointed that there was nothing for Metroid Prime, or no, just Metroid in general. And so, out comes this game, fan-made, called AM2R, which stands for Another Metroid 2 Remake. And so they remade Metroid Prime 2. Now, keep in mind, this is not a new thing. I actually downloaded this on a small little netbook way back in 2010. I've known about this for, 6 years at that point. I knew it existed, although I don't always recall it, but I knew it. I still remember that it existed because I played on it for a while back when I was just starting middle school. So it's a long time. And it finally came out. So, and then, Nintendo immediately went after this, I don't want to say developer, but they went after this game, and they quickly, just slapped down a cease and desist. And now like I said, that, they announced Samus Returns, which is, a remake for Metroid 2, now I can kind of understand why they quickly went to that cease and desist. Because, well, I don't know if they were already planning on it at the time, but it was probably in development. And so, it makes sense that, they went, and quickly shut that thing down. So yeah, but anyways, that's just my thoughts on it. Sorry it took so long. Actually, we're running close on 20 minutes here. But yeah, just like I said, as a Metroid fan, this is just crazy. It just came straight out of like nowhere, and it's this is something I've been just wanting to happen every single year at E3, and now that it finally happened, I'm just at a loss for words. Well, definitely not, because like I said, I just talked on for 20 minutes. But yeah, it's just it's crazy. Like there's still a lot of hype flying all around the place, and I don't want to be too hyped for it, but I've kind of already lost that. I'm really really hyped. Like this whole day, I've just been just going on and on and on about Metroid Prime 3 or Metroid Prime 4, Metroid Prime 4, Metroid Prime 4. And I'm still giving I'm still kind of throwing in, Samus Returns in there, but the big thing is Metroid Prime 4. Like, oh my gosh, this is finally happening. So, yeah. But like I said, I don't think they're gonna call it Prime 4. That's just my thought. So, and don't hate me. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. I am a big Metroid fan. Like I said, been a fan of the series for almost 15 years at this point. So, yeah. But anyways, that's going to be the end of the video before I start making this video another 10 minutes long. So yeah, but I hope you guys enjoyed me ranting on. I hope I didn't bore you out. If you made it all the way to the end here, good job. I tried to talk as fast as I can, but it's still, broke over 20 minutes. So yeah, but anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys later.